Hi, my name's Christine Howe and I work at the University of Cambridge in the UK, where I'm Professor of Education. I'm delighted that I'll be visiting Cyprus in 2015 and giving a keynote at the EARLI conference. I'm a psychologist by training and I spent most of my career in psychology. My earliest research was concerned with language acquisition in small children, but I quickly moved into children's use of their language skills, particularly in conversation when they were playing with their friends. And this interest in early peer interaction led me very quickly to the body of research on peer interaction and intellectual growth, in particular the work being done in Geneva on socio-cognitive conflict and performance on classic Piagetian tasks. I felt that because of the close connection in Piagetian theory between the knowledge underpinning performance on the classic tasks and the knowledge underpinning conceptual understanding in general, that peer interaction might be able to support conceptual growth. And given that I was aware of a vast educational literature indicating the huge problems that children have with conceptual growth in the areas of maths, science and social science, it seemed to me that if peer interaction could support growth in this area, it would be a very useful resource for educators. In any event, I embarked on a series of studies. The earliest studies were done in the 1990s. Some of the more recent ones were completed only a few years ago, where I looked at the role of peer interaction in conceptual growth. I've talked about the studies on many occasions. I've written about them in many contexts. I've presented individual papers at EARLI that report some of the specific findings, and the people interested in my keynote may well have heard me talk about them on a previous occasion. If you followed the research, you'll know that in the early days I was concerned primarily with the simple question of whether peer interaction could help, and showing that it could, the conditions within which it was most helpful. But in more recent years, I've been moving towards the mechanisms by which benefits are achieved. And I found lots of interesting and surprising findings in the course of this research. In the keynote, I'm going to focus on the learning mechanisms. I'm going to try and pull everything together, and with reference to some very, very recent research, try to develop a general model of how social interaction in general, not just peer interaction, supports conceptual growth. The model's sociocultural in flavour, but it's not particularly Vygotskian. But above all, it's a general model, and it will bring in some empirical findings that have only recently been completed. My title is Dialogue and Knowledge Transformation Towards a Sociocultural Theory of Cognitive Growth, and I hope very much to see lots of you there.